I'm waiting.
All right.
Waiting. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So,
Brian, forget it. Forget it. I got to figure out this sound.
Getting stuck sucks. At HostGator, our web pros make sure you'll never get stuck. With hosting that scales from easy to expert, you get your site your way. HostGator.
All right, everybody. After a little technical difficulties, I think we are live for the first time on FFC. Woo! Excellent, excellent. I am looking into the comment section, and I see that we have 16 people so far. I see Tori, who I know is a big Washington football fan, Stephen Martin, who's a long time viewer, going back from, as he told us, 50 subs. Laura Fusekas is with us, who is the crowning champion of the poll. I believe it was the Survivor poll, one of our 5 winners. Marcus Garner, I recognize you, Marcus, from the comment section. I already see that you need some help on your NFL DFS. I promise we will get into NFL DFS. We will get into the games that are happening this week. So thanks so much for joining us. Michael Wiley is really working hard for us, folks. He is in the middle of a class right now, and he's getting permission to jump out of the class and jump on the live Zoom. So he will be joining us in just a moment. So let's take a peek here. We got 26 people joining us, which is pretty darn cool. So also joining me today is actually my brother, Brian. He is going to help me moderate the chat, because as we get going into the show, I want to make sure if you guys are asking me questions that I don't miss any questions. And when you're thinking about questions to actually write, anything's on the board, right? You can ask me questions about this week's games, who's going to win, who's not going to win, why do I think it. You can ask me about NFL DFS. You can ask me about our player tournament, which, by the way, voting closes early tomorrow. So if you haven't voted for that, you want to go to our website, Fantasy Football Consultants. Let me just recognize the chat for a minute. I recognize Robert Alderman. Thanks so much for joining us, Robert. I can tell when you read a comment that you guys are with us. Wary Lane, welcome. A+, I know you participate in a lot of our contests. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us, Rodney. And there's my co-host for DraftKings, Michael Kurtzman. Thank you so much for joining us, Michael. And I hope I've already recognized Matt Garrett, but Matt Garrett is another one of our contest winners. Thanks so much for joining us. I see 30 people have joined us. What we're going to do is, I have a little bit of a show to show you, to give you guys, but most of today really is to take advantage of the fact that we're live and be able to directly answer your guys' questions. You guys are already hitting me with questions, so hang on a minute with your detailed questions, and we're gonna get started. Now, my goal is to end at 10 o'clock. Why? Because we are going to begin an unbelievable wild card weekend, folks. We've got 6 games. The first game is Buffalo and Indianapolis, and they kick off at 10:05. So We're all big football fans, and I promise I will not conflict with the Buffalo game. So, all right, we've got 32 people in our very first live stream. Let's begin. So it's not an FFC show if I don't have an opening. The difference about this opening is I can't retake it 8, 6, 7, 8 times. You guys don't know that. Maybe Michael Kurtzman knows that because he's co-hosted with me. But so we'll try to see how well I do live. Welcome to Wild Card Weekend, everybody. This is a 6-game slate. We're going to talk about all 6 of those games. We're going to talk about NFL DFS. We might even talk about Super Bowl predictions. All of that is coming up next. Hello, everyone. I am Eric Lee. Joining me later will be Michael Wiley, and we are the Fantasy Football Consultants. Welcome to the 35 people that have joined us. What I'd like to do now is give you guys a little bit of news, and then we'll turn it over to your questions. So, first thing is, if you're wondering about who is going to win this week, or if you're wondering about NFL DFS, you need to know who's playing and who's not playing. So, LA Ram game, QB, Jared Goff. I'm shocked, folks. I don't know if this is a little bit of a gameplay that Sean McVay is doing, because I didn't think there was any chance that Jared Goff is playing, but he's being listed as questionable. If he does play, if he is well, I would assume that he would be starting with that bad thumb on his throwing hand. But if not, John Wolford, who started his NFL debut last week, will start in his place. Now, the game that is going to be starting right after this broadcast, 10:05 a.m., 1:05 on the East Coast, is the Buffalo Bills-Indianapolis Colts game. And the really big question is, what is going on with their wide receivers? Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley. They both were listed questionable. They both were listed as a game time decision. This is the only game that's happening within 90 minutes of the current live broadcast. And we did get the news. Both of those guys are active. It appears that Stephon Diggs is healthier than Cole Beasley. I have Stephon Diggs Stephon Diggs is a superstar. This year he's had more targets than anybody else in the NFL. He is in my GPP lineup for DraftKings, or FanDuel, I believe. So I have no problem starting Stephon Diggs. I'm a little concerned about Cole Beasley, even though he's active. His snaps may be limited. I would personally stay away from Cole Beasley. I do think the pick of John Brown makes a lot of sense that I don't know whether Cole Beasley is at 100%. All right. Bucks, Mike Evans, game time decision with his knee. The football team has a whole host of game time decisions, but I think it's likely they all will play. Alex Smith, Antonio Gibson, and Terry McLaurin. I think the most serious one of that is Terry McLaurin with a high ankle sprain. We will see. I think he'll play, but the question is, will he be hampered as he's been the last few weeks with that high ankle sprain? Then going to Sunday, the Saints-Chicago game, Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara are both on tap to play. They shut down Michael Thomas for the last 3 regular seasons with the specific express goal to play come playoffs. So I think he'll be good to go. Alvin Kamara and the Saints are lucky that this game got scheduled on Sunday versus Saturday, because it's Sunday. As long as he doesn't have any other positive tests, he should be good to go on Sunday. He already sent out a tweet that said, "See you all Sunday." So I think he's good to go. And then finally, Darnell Mooney. Be careful with Darnell Mooney. He got hurt in the last game in week 17. He had to be helped off the field, and he hasn't practiced once. So I'm not sure he's a game time decision. That's not until Sunday. The bottom line is if you're going to start Darnell Mooney, you better have a backup consideration. And I don't know if you want to start him in cash, given that even if he plays, will he give you that floor? I don't know. I really like Darnell Mooney before the news of this injury still lingering throughout the week. All right, enough of me blabbing. We want to get to you guys. That's why we're on this, the fact that it is live. I see that one of my favorite listeners, Kelly St. Pierre, is online. Welcome, Kelly. Welcome, Frank Costner, Robert Alderman, Brian, my moderator. Let's and oh, by the way, co-founder Gary Kurtzman is in the chat. Thanks so much, Gary. Appreciate you joining us, and to the extent you can help us with any of the questions, feel free to do so. All right, Brian.
Yeah, Eric. Well, we got some people asking about specific lineup, and since they're asking about specific lineup, thank goodness we've got Michael Kurtzman who's answering and going over some specific lineup, saying how he thinks they look. I know it's going to be hard to go over specific lineups, but I got a good comment by Kelly St. Pierre. She said that Seattle wins whether or not Goff plays. She said that the Rams are a better overall team, but have an inferior quarterback. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm biased, right? With the Seahawks, I do think not only do I think they'll win, I think they're going to cover the spread, and also because I forgot to mention the Seahawks got some really good news injury-wise. Jamal Adams is going to play, and that is going to be huge on the Seahawk defense. I'm seeing volume, so maybe I'll raise it to make sure people can hear my brother. Jamal Adams is huge on that defense. The Seahawks offensive line is going to be healthy for the first time as a unit in a long time. So look, I could be 100% wrong, and maybe I'm biased because I like the Seahawks so much, but I really feel good. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, so I don't necessarily think it's a great idea to jam DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett in your lineup. But I love the Seahawks defense this week, especially with Jamal Adams playing. So I think that's a pretty good play. They're a reasonable price and downright super cheap on FanDuel. Any other items, Brian?
Matt Garrett is asking, do we trust Robert Woods or do we pivot away?
Well, Matt, I mean, I'm not sure if you're playing just the Saturday slate versus the Saturday and Sunday slate, but on the Saturday and Sunday slate, you've got lots of other options, quite honestly, that I like a lot more. Who are you depending? Oh, I see you say here, do you want to pivot away to Antonio Brown at a similar price? You know what? Gary makes a good point that, how healthy is Goff going to be with that thumb, or how much do you trust John Wolford? John Wolford was checking down. Also keep in mind, Cooper Kupp is a go, so he's going to have even more competition for the downfield carries, for the downfield throws. I personally like Antonio Brown more than I like Robert Woods. I don't love either of them, but I would opt for Antonio Brown. Brian?
Frank Foster is asking, what about Kamara?
Love Kamara. When you're going back and looking at Alvin Kamara's stats, it is it's light years different when Drew Brees is the quarterback and when Drew Brees is not the quarterback. Admittedly, he's even better when Michael Thomas doesn't play, and Michael Thomas will play. But they're at home. I think that they're going to do very well offensively against the Chicago Bears. I think he's worth the price. I personally like Alvin Kamara at his price more than Derrick Henry. Keep in mind, Alvin Kamara is game script proof, where Derrick Henry is not, and you get him a lot cheaper. So if you're going to spend up for a running back this week in DFS, I recommend Alvin Kamara.
Stephen Martin is looking at defense. He says that the Seattle defense is $1,300 cheaper than the Rams, and he thinks that's a good place to save some money.
Yeah, he's talking about FanDuel pricing there. And you're right, Stephen. It's unbelievable how cheap the Seahawks are on FanDuel. They're a lot closer priced. The Rams are only $200 more on DraftKings.
I'm sure you see the Tammy Life comment about Dak with Terry M running back and Seattle D with DK Metcalf.
Yeah, so yeah, I personally, if you're going to stack the Seattle D, I slightly prefer Chris Carson. It's a savings over DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf has had trouble with Ramsey, the cornerback of the Rams. So I'm not a big DK Metcalf guy this week, but given his price, but I'd probably rather stack the Seattle D with Chris Carson. But you're never gonna get me to criticize DK Metcalf. Buck stack with Terry McLaurin. I'm a little worried. I almost would run the Buck stack back with Logan Thomas. I would prefer that option than Terry McLaurin. Alex Smith, I expect to be the starting quarterback. Alex Smith loves to check down to his running backs and to his tight ends. And I just am not convinced that Terry McLaurin is 100%. And there we go. So I see a couple other questions. Do I think Brady is a play? So thoughts on Evans? Look, I really respect that Washington football team defense. This isn't the Detroit Lions. I think the Bucs are going to win, but I don't think that the Bucs are just going to light up the scoreboard like they have been. The last 7 games, they've scored 35 points. And of course, with Tom Brady, he's not going to help you on the ground. At his age, he doesn't even usually get the 1-yard carries anymore at the goal line. This week, I am opting to pay up at quarterback, which I don't always do with either Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, especially Josh Allen with his wide receivers look like they'd be healthy. All right, let me move on. Robert Adelman asks, what do you think of Chris Godwin as a Saturday flex play? I don't have a problem at all with Chris Godwin. I wish I knew 100% what the status of Mike Evans is. If you believe Mike Evans will be out and they'll announce that 90 minutes before kickoff, or if you think he's hampered, I love Chris Godwin as a play. Is Goff out? No, Sean McVay is playing games with the Seahawks right now. He does not want to say who his quarterback is going to be. They'll announce it like 90 minutes before kickoff, and they're in the afternoon game, the middle game today. So we don't officially know. If you ask me to guess, I don't think Goff is going to play. I think it's going to be John Wolford, but I don't know. They haven't announced it. Henry did look good against the Ravens last week. And when they played earlier, when they beat him in overtime, Henry looked good when they beat them last year in the playoffs. There are just more potential opportunities where Henry may be game scripted out, where Alvin Kamara won't be. There is definitely scenarios where Henry has a huge game this week against the Ravens. There are also plenty of scenarios where he actually is close to a flop. If the Ravens get up, remember, the Titans have a really bad defense, and they've gotten up on the Ravens because the Ravens have turned the ball over. If the Ravens get off to a lead, that could really hurt Henry's value if it's a significant lead. Stephen Martin says, Logan is the only tight end option on the Saturday slate. Yeah, with Travis Kelce on a bye and Darren Waller on vacation, tight ends aren't looking so great this week. So Matt Garrett says, do I trust that Kamara will play? Well, I do, but it's obviously something that you want to monitor. I get that the Saints don't play till Sunday, so you're going to have to try to scramble. But all indications, is he's going to play. So I trust it. All right, Marcus Garner's been giving me his a complete lineup. What is the Saturday slate lineup? Josh Allen, Cam Akers. I like Cam Akers. I know that the Seahawks defense is really good, especially against the run, but he's the guy on the Rams. So, and if John Wolford does play, I think they'll run more, and they will, let's see. Let me pin this message.
Eric, it looks like we've got about 55 people watching right now, but we've only got 20 thumbs up. So I would ask that if we could try to get those number of thumbs up to increase. That's not even a 50% ratio, and usually okay. I know you get better than that.
All right, Brian is getting tough on you guys. He says, "Hey, what's going on with the thumbs up? 55 people watching, just 21 thumbs up." So yeah, smash that like button, please. Also, if you guys, this is all in Subscriber Appreciation Week, and I just want to thank each and every one of our subscribers. Really appreciate it. If you are watching and you aren't subscribed, right now, stop what you're doing and smash that subscribe button. Really appreciate it. If you happen to know anybody who loves the NFL, and please share my channel with them and tell them to subscribe. So, okay, I want to finish this Mark Garner question. He goes, Jonathan Taylor, Stephon Diggs, AJ Brown. How are you able to afford all these guys? John Brown, Logan Thomas, Seattle D. Brown. I like it. I'm surprised you can afford all these guys, but I like the lineup. I like it more as a GPP play. Jonathan Taylor is actually absolutely has a chance to completely go off. He has been going off, but I more like him as a GPP play than a cash game, because there is a chance that the Colts get behind in that game, and I think you may see more Nyheim Hines than Jonathan Taylor. All right. Other comments. Let's see. Anybody feeling good about Ronald Jones? I see Washington wanting to defend the pass a lot, likely giving him some room for some games. I don't know. I'll be interested. I'm not as high on Ronald Jones. I always worry about his split with Leonard Fournette, and he faces a very tough Washington defense. When I look at the other guys that I'm more high on, like a James Conner or a Cam Akers, I'd rather go that route than Ronald Jones, and those guys aren't that much more expensive. Do you trust Mooney will play? Absolutely not, Matt Garrett. I do not trust Mooney will play. And I mentioned it in the comment section. Yes, Rashard Higgins is an excellent pivot. That is who I will pivot. Rashard Higgins plays later on Sunday than Mooney, so I will look for the news. But I don't have a problem if you want to just pivot off Mooney now and juggle your lineup. That's fine. Thank you I see a whole bunch of thumbs up that came up. It went from 21 to 35. Greatly appreciate it. We've got 53 people watching. Hey, everybody. Good to see you guys. All right. So let's see. Who are you picking between the Ravens and Titans? Oh, Kelly St. Pierre, that is a super tough call. Of all the 6 games, that's the toughest one for me to call. But when I kind of slated and before I looked at the spread, I really thought this game was a pick 'em, maybe Ravens by 1. The fact that the Ravens are 3.5-point favorites, I'm going to go with the Titans. I can easily see this being a field goal game. So with the spread, I'd go with the Titans. If you made me pick who I think was going to win, I actually think I'd go with Baltimore. It's almost a 50-50 thing, but I slightly like Baltimore more. It sounds like you are picking the Ravens, Kelly. I wonder if what about the spread, Kelly? Who are you picking with the spread? Will Ramsey switch between Metcalf and Lockett? He has, I've watched the Seahawk Ram game, and he has pretty much been on Metcalf, and he's done a really good job on DK Metcalf. almost no one this year has done a good job on Metcalf as Ramsey. So I don't see any reason why they would change that. Gronk could have a big night, Kelly St. Pierre says. Sure. It's playoff time. I think Brady's going to rely on his veterans, which is Antonio Brown and Gronk. Of course, I think Chris Godwin will be heavily involved. He's got a lot of weapons. If Michael Evans is really good, is really healthy, he'll be involved as well. All right. Flex Hines are M Brown. We got a lot of Browns this week. It's hard to say, but you put M Brown. I assume that's Marquise Brown. That's Hollywood Brown. Ooh, good call. I'd like to know, Richard, if you're talking about GPP or cash. In cash, I would rather Marquise Brown. I think he gives you a much better floor. I think it's whatever you want in GPP. I mean, Hines may not do really well if the Colts stay ahead and they end up turning the ball over to Jonathan Taylor a lot. But I think GPP, I probably personally would lean toward Marquise Brown as well. But I don't have a problem for GPP if you flip to Hines. It's like we don't have to worry about Rodgers or Breeze, Kelly St. Pierre says on the other side of the ball, like to establish the run with Brady. Yeah, I mean, the issue with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers passing attack, Brady and all their passing attacks is, do we think that the Washington football team offense will put points on the board to keep this game close, to keep them passing? Robert Alderman says, let's see. Boy, Brian, it's going pretty quickly here.
He says, how about Jay Smith-Schuster as a flex for Sunday?
Juju, I'm fine. It's hard to know what the different options you are. I'll be honest, I haven't studied the Sunday only slate. I studied Saturday and Sunday. So I don't know what your different options that you were trying to select. When I did the Saturday Sunday slate, Juju Smith-Schuster just wasn't in my list, but I don't have a problem with him. You just play that game of who will Ben Roethlisberger target this week, and I always think that his number one option is Deontay Johnson, but number two is Juju. Yes, Brian.
Solomon G. Johnson is asking, what are your thoughts about New Orleans Montgomery?
Yeah. So Montgomery has been sensational over the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season. Here's the problem. Montgomery has played weak run defenses. And now he plays the New Orleans Saints, who have a very good run defense and a Saint team I think that's going to get up on them. And I know Montgomery gets involved in the passing game, so he still can get. It's not like he'll exit the game, but I'm not high on him given his price. Anthony Adams, welcome to the chat. I recognize you as a frequent chatter. He says, how do I feel about Mitch Trubisky, Allen Robinson, and Jimmy Graham as well? Well, you know what? I do have a bias toward dome games in the playoffs. Weather's absolutely not a factor. I think that game will be high scoring. I don't have a problem with that. I also think that it's not a stack a lot of people are going to be using. I would definitely bring back with Thomas versus Emmanuel Sanders. I know Thomas is a little bit more expensive, but Thomas is way too cheap. 6,400 on DraftKings, 6,800 on FanDuel. I would definitely bring it back with Thomas. Any of the Steeler receivers, Mike Angarola? This is like a family reunion. I love this. I love seeing all these people that I recognize, and I'm so impressed. We got 53 people watching. So he's asked, do any of the Steeler receivers, and if so, why? My favorite is Deontay Johnson, but I'm not super high on any of them. I don't think this is going to be a super high scoring game between the Steelers and the Browns. Would you go with Antonio Brown or McLaren? I'd go with Antonio Brown, Sammy, depending on Mike Evans' health. If you think Mike Evans is 100%, you know what? I'd still go with Antonio Brown between those two options. I'm not super high on either of the two options, but given those two. S. Taylor says, I'm in an NFL playoff challenge for free. What two teams do you think will make it to the Super Bowl? If you had to make me pick and my life was on the line, I'd pick the two teams that have a bye, Green Bay and the Kansas City Chiefs. But if I'm looking for an upset pick, I like Buffalo. I really do. So if I'm trying to differentiate myself from other people, I would go with a Packer Buffalo Bills Super Bowl. Kelly says, I agree. Tough spread. I think the Ravens, okay, very good. Stephen Martin. Patrick Peterson shut down Metcalf as well. All right. Appreciate that, Stephen. I don't know if I really like the fact that you're calling out my Seahawks, but no, very fair. How would I adjust your lineup that involves Mooney? Rashard Higgins. Rashard Higgins is the move off Mooney. He plays later. The Eagles kept Hurts in. They would have won the game. I agree 100%. No offense to any Washington fans. Tampa Bay will blow Washington out. Ooh, well, I did pick Tampa Bay against the spread against Washington. I could see that being wrong, but I do feel good about that pick. Would you play Metcalf or Cup? Lockett or Woods. Wow. Tucker, those are tough because I'm staying away from the Seahawk Ram game. I don't think it's going to be super high scoring. I don't think, but fine. I am going to go, given those choices, I'll pick the Rams wide receivers, Cup and Woods. There we go. Brian, let me know if I'm missing any. If, by the way, you leave a comment and somehow I miss it, please just send the other comment in. And I am happy to welcome to the stream Michael Wiley. Michael, I hope you don't fail your class because you're joining us. You're playing.
So sorry to be late, but happy to be here. Hopefully I can stay for most of the rest of the time. How's it coming?
Oh, well, we've got 49 people. We just had 53. I think you joined and a couple of people dropped off, Michael.
Oh, I see how it is.
No, just.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's
all right. What's that, Brian? That is not because of Michael, Brian says. All right. So you can see the comments. They're coming fast and furious. Michael, if you see a comment that you want to specifically talk about, please just jump in and let me know. Brian, is there anyone that's been waiting a while that we need to get to?
You've got a lot of people, Eric, asking about your background and impressed with your home. You want to tell them how you could afford such a nice place?
Well, and how it's dark, even though it's in the morning on the West Coast. All right, I'll admit it to you guys. Don't tell anybody. That's a green screen. All right. Hey, Taylor, thank you so much. He says it costs nothing to hit the thumbs up button, so do it. Thanks, Taylor, for getting our back. By the way, that's true for all our videos. So many of you guys just have the habit of always doing that, and we so appreciate it because it makes us such a difference. There's a lot of competition for our videos in where we're competing. All right, let's move on. There's a lot of comments about the Seahawk and the Ram wide receivers, Michael. Who do you like more, Michael, this week? Metcalf Lockett or Woods and Cup?
We'll definitely lock it on the Seahawks versus Metcalf, just because we're going to see that shutdown corner, I think, Ramsey on Metcalf like we did last time they played. But I think despite the fact that it's Wofford, looking like it's still going to be Wofford, right, based on the last we've seen?
Yeah, they haven't announced it. I was saying earlier that I think Sean McVay is just playing games with the Seahawks.
But even still, with that bad thumb, I'm a little bit nervous. But I think Ramsey's going to shut down Metcalf, so it's either Lockett or the Rams receivers.
Yeah. Matt Garrett asks, who is your favorite GPP stack in run back? Michael, I'll let you answer. Mine is you got to attack the Baltimore-Tennessee game. I think that is going to be the highest scoring game. So I like Jackson to Hollywood Brown. You can choose to go Andrews if you prefer. And then you can run that back. Look, I love A.J. Brown. He's just very expensive. So I'd use Corey Davis. Michael?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, we could see that Colts Buffalo game coming up here shortly go off as well. So that I think is a good second choice, but I for sure say let's go with that Tennessee Baltimore game for sure.
Yeah, someone asked, what do I think about Montgomery? I thought I answered it, but just to be clear, I don't like him this week given his price against the New Orleans Saints defense. Michael?
Just real quick, I got to respond to Stephen Martin.
All right.
With my shirt for the wire right here. I like the Go Utes comment. That's hilarious, though. We had a basketball game against you guys. Sorry, Eric, can you repeat that? I got thrown off a little bit by
That's all right. I was just saying
Anthony Adams' comment.
I was just commenting to Solomon Johnson. I gave my take about Montgomery. I don't like him this week against the Saints offense.
Deep Saints defense. I agree, but man, has he been impressive of late. They're gonna try and go with him, but the Saints defense is super stout. So he's not my first choice, but versus some other options there, I think the problem is he's too expensive.
Yeah. They're talking about one of your favorite guys, Old Man Rivers. I love that. I haven't heard that one. Old Man Rivers, Phillip Rivers. Absolutely agree. It would be a contrarian stack. What do you think about stacking with Rivers?
I don't think it's a horrible play because of how inexpensive he is. I haven't looked recently because he wasn't what I was choosing. I was really thinking we had this discussion, Eric, that we really want to go with either Lamar Jackson or with our guy out of my Central Valley, our Buffalo quarterback, Allen. But for the cheaper options, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily mind it.
I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and if the Colts get behind, I think Rivers could be throwing the ball a lot. So don't hate it. That's for sure. Matt Garrett says thoughts on Dobbins this week for cash and GPP on DraftKings.
Yeah, we talked about it. I know, Eric. I keep jumping in here. You obviously you're going to agree with me on this. We really like that game, and I think that includes Dobbins. They're gonna be running a lot, both with Lamar Jackson and Dobbins. I think both of them have a pretty high floor, and we even talked about going with them in the GPP lineup as well.
Did you know, Michael, that we have the ability to ban people from our channel? I'm wondering whether I need to ban Chris. Just kidding, Chris. We love alternative facts. And you know what? You may very well be right. The Rams can upset the Seahawks. They're 4.5-point favorites. There's no guarantee that the Seahawks are going to win, but I do feel good about it. For what it's worth, I feel good that the Seahawks, I really do think that the Seahawks are the better team by a lot. And I was saying earlier, Michael, that Jamal Adams is healthy. He's going to play in this game, and I think that's huge. But you know what? They turn the ball over, the Seahawks do, and the Rams could definitely win this game. All right.
I got to give your Seahawks some kudos for the last few weeks, how their defense has finally come around. They were pretty poor before then. And you're right. With even if Goff plays with where his thumb's at and just the lack of mobility he's been showing of late. But my wife's a Rams fan, so Chris, I'm right there with you. That's one of the reasons I keep giving Eric such a hard time.
All right. Well, you remind me, Michael, if the Rams upset the Seahawks, we'll give a shout out to Chris in our next spread show.
I think Chris is right with his comment that he just made. I think that maybe Wofford gives a little bit of improvement because of his ability to move. You know, Goff just doesn't move. So I'm torn as a Rams fan. I'm torn who I'd rather see behind the center.
All right. So we still got 45 people watching. That is still awesome. Anything's on the board. You want to ask any questions about the channel, what we plan to do in the future, or what we should do in the future? This is your guys' chance to raise whatever you'd like to raise and hear Michael and I's response.
So I'm only gonna have a couple more minutes here, so I'm gonna go ahead and respond to this one from Matt Garrett, which I think is a good question. I think Seattle has more upside just because of the quarterback situation. This is, Rams versus Seattle for defense, but I think the Rams have a higher floor because they're a better defense, and they're because of how long sometimes Russell Wilson holds onto the ball. I think the Rams are going to get a few sacks. It's going to be a low-scoring game either way, in my estimate, because of how I think the Rams want to run the game. But, I think I see where Dustin's coming on this one. His response is, I think Seattle has a higher floor because you could see a defensive touch. I know we saw the Rams get a defensive touchdown this last week, but I think you could really see maybe a deep defensive touchdown or two for Seattle if the Rams are behind and if Wofford, has some trouble.
Michael, how would you answer Matt Garrett's question? If you had the money, and on DraftKings, they actually are closely priced, not on FanDuel. LA Rams D or Seattle D?
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I was trying to answer. I think if it was, GPP for sure, I would go Seattle because of the upside. Just cash, half the folks go in the money, and you have a pretty safe, low, floor upside. I think I'd go with the Rams because I think they have a higher floor, if that makes sense.
All right. Kelly St. Pierre is going to put me in my place. She says, let's not get too carried away. The Hawks' last 4 games, the D didn't play lights out offenses. They played the crap Jets. All right, Kelly, the crap Jets beat the LA Rams the week before. So, Washington, a playoff team. I know. I'm trying, Michael.
Good try.
The Rams, the team, another playoff team. And then I hear you, Kelly. I hear you. You're making me laugh.
No, but I'll give you a plug, Eric. I think that they've figured a few things out on defense that they just didn't have going. And some of that's slowing the game down. But, just depends on this, it really depends on if you're in a, non-DraftKings or FanDuel league. It depends on how the scoring goes, right? But I'll take this last question from Chris before I go here. Is the Bears plus 10 a good bet, or will the Saints blow them out? I am very high on where the Bears have been playing in the last couple of weeks, not just on paper. I know they haven't necessarily been playing good teams. And Eric, you made this comment on our last show. They had such a mediocre to bad middle that it's hard to really be a believer in them. But 9.5 points or 10 points for the Bears, I am really afraid of that. I certainly wouldn't bet on the Saints. Would I go out and put a ton of money on the Bears for it? No, what I certainly wouldn't do. I certainly wouldn't go a straight up bet and think that the Bears are going to squeak out a win. I think that the Saints are going to win the game. I just think it's going to be a closer game than obviously Vegas is saying.
Yeah, and we talked about it on our spread show, so I want to put it, but it's tough for me, but I think the Saints will cover. Frank says, where's the free $100 contest? And as FFC, I'd say, which free $100 contest? Because there are two. There's the against the spread, and you just go to that video. It gives you all the details. And then there's the DraftKings. So go to the DraftKings or the FanDuel video, and it gives you the link and how to do it. For both of those, you know what? You need to you need to join before 10:05. So
Hey, Eric, I'm gonna drop right here, but Kelly asked a second time, what do we think about the Chiefs not playing their starters at the first half of the week? I agree with her. I think that you can get rusty. So getting in some reps, I'm sure they'll find a way to get in some reps. My experience outside of the NFL has been that they find ways to get players in there. It's good to get the break, but we could see some rust. Eric, I'm gonna sign off. Thank you so much for letting me join. Good luck to you. And we'll talk to you a little bit later.
Thanks for joining, Michael. I know you was out of your a lot of extra work to do it. See you later.
No problem.
Bye, everyone. All right, everybody. You just got me for the rest of the way. So I want to make sure I catch up on the different comments. Welcome, Matt Fangenbaum. You're very welcome. Glad to have you here. Again, it's like a little reunion. I recognize so many of these names from the comment section. To me, you guys are FFC. It's not me. It's not Michael. It's the community. We're a part of the community, but you guys are just as important as us. And you guys are ambassadors. So when you guys leave comments and support the channel by subscribing or sharing, it really helps. All right. Okay. Matt Garrett has already said he is going to win the DK contest. Okay, Matt, it's on. Let's see. All right. Steven, here's to you. Talking about the FFC mug. One of the things I want to share with you guys is that we have a bunch of branded FFC material. If you look at some YouTube channels, you see right below the video that there is there's like a store. Well, you can only have that when you have 10,000 subscribers. So one of the things I'm really looking forward to is getting to 10,000 subscribers so that it can make it very easy for people to pick up a mug or an FFC shirt. And but we have to get to 10,000 subscribers. So to the extent you can help with that, tell your league mates, tell your family and friends who love the NFL. Always appreciate it. All right, Brian, you'll let me know if I'm missing anybody here. Is there any way Cleveland beats Pittsburgh? Pittsburgh has stumbled in the playoffs before. Well, all these teams are playoff bound, and any of them can beat any team. We always say any team can beat any team. But given the spread is only 3.5 points, I actually think it's highly unlikely that the Cleveland wins this game. I feel very comfortable picking Pittsburgh and giving the 3.5 points. Cleveland just beat them, but Cleveland just beat them with a team B on Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh just roasted them at the beginning of this season. So that's my take. Let's see. All right. People are liking the merch idea. That's good. Matt is dreaming. What is Brian talking about? What has Matt said that is causing him to get excited? Let's see. Oh, I think Matt said that he's going to win the DK contest. All right, little rivalry. You know what? To be honest, folks, when I think, what do I want from this channel? Hey, Joe. Oh, Joseph Brown, thank you so much. That is so kind. $4.99. Really, really appreciate it, Joseph Brown. Very nice. We don't really like to, but anyway, we just greatly appreciate that. All right. That came across and I went ahead and lost my train of thought. We've got 12 more minutes, folks. We will end the stream at 10 o'clock so we can get ready for the Buffalo Indianapolis game, which just kicks off a great slate of games, 6 games. What a great thing the NFL did. I think it was great by introducing 2 more teams. Yes, I know that meant an 8-8 team got in, but I don't care. The Colts got in as well, and as the 7th seed, and they have a great record. All right. let's see.
Eric, you got Matt Garrett asking about your thoughts on Trubinsky this week.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be my first choice, but I really do, and I don't like him for cash because I don't think he has a very good floor. But I love him for GPP because I think he's going to be, lower owned, and I think that he does have an upside. I think that, look, I think it's pretty certain that the Saints with Breeze, with Alvin Kamara, and with what I think is going to be a much healthier Michael Thomas is going to put points on the board. So that is going to force Chicago to at least attempt to put a lot of points on the board. And I think it'll be in the air. And so I like Trubinsky as a GPP play. And, he's obviously a lot cheaper. And that's what you say, Matt. You say they'll be behind most of the game. Laura, you are very welcome. Thanks for all the information. Appreciate it. What my hope for this channel is, what I was going to say earlier, is not necessarily that we're going to be the biggest channel. We won't. We'll never be the biggest channel. But what I hope is that we'll be the channel that has the best community. I don't know if we're there yet, but we are, given our subscriber count, we are leagues ahead of a lot of other channels that are our size. And it's my responsibility to always facilitate that. So what my hope is in the off season is to try to find even more sponsors who to have more free contests. I love that in the chat section, I want you guys to get to know each other, and I want you guys to be able to participate in the chat and give your takes, because we have an extremely smart community. So people not only learn from me and whoever my co-hosts, whether it be Gary or Michael Kurtzman or Michael Wiley, but you learn from each other, because I'll be the first to say, am I always right? Not even close. Am I always right? But trust me, my opinion comes from doing a whole lot of research, but it doesn't mean that I'm always right. All right, William Shaw says, just got on. What are the Saints' chances of winning the Super Bowl? They may be a sleeper on. I like the 2 seats. You know what? If you put a gun to my head and said, pick the Super Bowl teams, yeah, I'd pick the Chiefs and the Packers. But I like the Bills and the Saints. As a sleeper pick, I like the Bills a little more than the Saints, but the Saints are right there. Matt says we love FFC. That's great. Marcus Garner says, should I switch Jonathan Taylor to Nyheim Hines? I don't have it right in front of me, but I would hope that Nyheim Hines is a lot cheaper. So I'm okay with that, but you better be able to switch to something else that's better, because Nyheim Hines should be a lot cheaper than Taylor. Let's see. Did I miss any, Brian?
I don't think so. I would just want to say a big thank you to Joseph Brown from Boston, Massachusetts. That was just incredible, Eric. You got your absolute first super chat.
Yeah.
And to express this appreciation like that was just above and beyond.
Yeah, certainly, especially during these crazy times. It's not something that I expect for or ask for, but the fact that anyone who wants to do it does it, I can't thank you guys enough. All right.
So it's 9:53 on the West Coast right now, 12:53 on the East Coast. Almost game time, Eric. You want to start to wrap things up?
Well, yeah. I plan to end the chat at 10, so we have 7 more minutes. So to the extent there are more questions, I still want to reach out. I just want to remind people of a few things that are going on now at FFC for Subscriber Appreciation Week and throughout the playoffs. We are now doing spread picks for the rest of the year. Please watch the show and give us your feedback, because we really are trying to decide if this is something we want to do next year. And it's helpful to know, do you guys like it? Do you not like it? What changes in that show format would you like to see? Also, what we're doing is our NFL Player Tourney. We got a lot of people that voted. I love this contest because I think it is so fun to figure out, well, gee, if everybody is in their prime, who's the best? I didn't say who's the most valuable player. I didn't say who's had the best career. Just if they're in the prime, who do you think is best? That doesn't necessarily mean who's had the best one season. That can be interpreted in a lot of ways. And what's neat is when we see all the votes that are coming in, and you can still vote if you go to fantasyfootballconsultants.net. Oh, Stephen, I'm going to just stop what I'm talking about. Stephen, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Super, super nice. Thank you so much. He says, thanks for all the legwork. Love from Toronto. I love it when we have, almost all our viewers are from the US and Canada, a lot more in the US. So love to see people from Canada joining us. Anyway, there we go. So a lot of things going on. We're going to do for the last time this year upcoming, even though I was originally planning to only do DFS for Subscriber Appreciation Week, because of I want to acknowledge everybody. We're going to do DFS one more time next week. Will be our last DFS. So those are kind of the things to look for upcoming.
Regarding future shows, Eric, Matt Garrett wants to know why don't we just do this every single Saturday?
That's interesting. Whether you guys would want a Saturday show, please type in the chat. Would you want a Saturday morning show or would you want a Sunday morning show before the Sunday games? Let me know. Type in the chat. I'm curious. I don't know if I have the wherewithal to do it every week, but maybe every other week or maybe every month. I think anything that connects the community together, I want to consider. And it took a while to make sure I learned how to do this. But now that I've learned how to do it, it's pretty easy to set up now that I know how to do it. So we're hearing Sunday and we're hearing Saturday. So, I can alternate. I can do some Saturdays and some Sundays. One thing that I'm definitely thinking about is I want to do it again this year. I'm not exactly sure when. I want to check the schedule of Michael Wiley, make sure he doesn't have a class. But maybe Super Bowl. Maybe, normally on the Super Bowl, we're always traveling to go to someone's house for a big Super Bowl party. Well, I hope, given the current environment, that we're not going to big Super Bowl parties anymore. So maybe a couple of hours before the Super Bowl. What do you guys think about that? A Super Bowl Sunday show. So we can talk about it. I'm seeing, Brian says Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Sounds like one of those old commercials. So I'm seeing both Sunday and Saturday. So maybe there's a mixture. FFC party at Eric's house. Well, only via Zoom. So we got 3 more minutes. So if you have any final either comments or questions, Stephen Martin says divisional weekend. We'll see. I know Michael Wiley's not available divisional weekend, but maybe for the conference championship is a possibility. So that's not this coming week, but the following week, I am open to doing that. So it's great. I'm so glad we've dropped down to 32, 33 people, but I'm so glad you guys were able to join us. There was a nightmare that there would be like 2 people here. So thank you for not making my nightmare come true. So this was truly a lot of fun, and it sounds like you guys enjoyed it as well. So I guarantee you we will do it again this playoffs. I will let you know when it'll be. My guess is maybe the conference championship, and then I think there's a 2-week break between the Super Bowl and the conference champion, and maybe we'll do it again in the Super Bowl. So that'll be every other week for the rest of the playoffs. I kind of like that. So you guys are providing lots of great feedback. Appreciate it. Keep it up. Remember, this is our show. This is our channel. So if there's something that you guys think would be good, that would make the channel better, help the channel grow, please let us know. As you see, this idea to go live was a listener's suggestion, as well as the spread show. All right. So that would be interesting, Kelly, as the last thing before we sign off, about a Zoom show. Certainly possible. The difference between a Zoom show and a live show is that, I would be able to see you guys, which would be kind of fun. So we'll see. All right, everybody. It is 9:59. So we started on time and we will end on time. That's what I tell all of my college students in my college classes. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you guys so much for the support. Brian, once again, can we get a shout out to the 2 super chats? That was Stephen Martin and do you recall the gentleman's name?
Joseph Brown. Thank you to both of you, Stephen and Joseph.
Thank you so much, Stephen and Joseph. Really appreciate it. You guys have a great weekend. Be safe. Take care. And we will see you next time. Bye, everybody.